Okay, welcome everyone to OptionVue Essentials with Jeremy Truelove. That's me. I am the IT guy and tech support for OptionVue. And today I'd like to go over with you how to use Dropbox to synchronize multiple computers. Synchronize in the sense of your OptionVue so that you can have, say, on your work computer and on your home PC or on your home computer and your laptop. And each time you go to all of them, it will have the same files and it will all be synced up and ready to go. I do mention Dropbox, but there are plenty of various tools out there that do the same thing. Microsoft has their SkyDrive, Google has Google Drive, Apple has iCloud, there's Box.com. I'm sure there are many, many others. Any that synchronize into the cloud in the same way will work just fine. And first thing though, to get started, I just want to go over a brief overview of what the files are in OptionVue, the major ones, so we kind of understand what it is we're syncing. Let me share with you my desktop here. And I'm on my computer. So first we see I have my hard drive, my local disk, C. And then I'm looking for the folder OptionVue 7. That's my default installation. First folder you'll see is background, or BKGND. These are the files that when you first start OptionVue every day, it says downloading daily files. So that's what it's downloading. It's some definitions of things, which things have options, which things don't. Have there been any symbol changes, and so on. Next up, we have the data folder, which each time you open and then close a matrix, it saves a data file for that particular underline. So as you can see here, I have aapl.stk, Apple, which is a stock, ndx.inx, INX for index, cl.cdy for commodity, of course, crude oil, and so on. Next up, we have the HIST folder. And here, these are the HIST files, or the price chart history for anything that I've opened a price chart for. And next, OpScan. So the OpScan folder has one file named whatever it is you named your OpScan formula, .fma, and then it will have any of the text files for OpScans that you've actually run. For example, here's one that I ran in December of last year. The README, which of course contains the PDF and a few other README things, and perhaps the most important folder, the records folder. This is where the files are stored for each of the accounts that you create in OptionVue. For each account that you create, it will then create for you several files. As we see here, these are all the files that are necessary for the sample account to function correctly. So they all would be named whatever you named your account, and then dot and these various extensions. So to back these up, we would need all of these files. And then in the main OptionVue folder itself are some various files. This is instance support, which was a great way to allow me to temporarily control your computer over the internet, so I can see your screen and work through some things with you. If you have any patches, they'll be in there. And of course the OpVue, which is the main program itself. Okay, that's just a brief overview there. Have there any questions? Nope. Okay. Moving on. Let's install. The first step, we got to install Dropbox. If you don't already have an account, they do have the ability to let you sign up, so you can do that. I already have one though, so for this demonstration, I'm just going to download Dropbox. And I'm going to save that somewhere. Wait for it to go. Wait for it to run its myriad of security checks. And once that's done, I can run that file. Now, are you really sure? Are you absolutely positive? You know how it goes. I get the welcome screen. I say, yep, let's go ahead and install that guy. I should mention that this is the first computer. I'm going to call this computer A, or this is my desktop, which is, of course, what it really is. And this is the computer that already has OptionVue installed and has the most or if you have multiple ones where it's most installed already, this one has the most up to date. We're going to start here. This is like the master. Here you can say I don't have one, and it will let you sign up, but of course I do. And if you do already have one, then you put in your email and password. Lastly, you can put in a computer name. This just helps you keep straight which computers have which files on them and things, should you need to log into the Dropbox website and manage all your folders and files and things. For 99% of people, you can just leave that at the default. Of course, they try to upsell you to, does come with 2 gigabytes of space free. And just for example, I will show you how large my OptionVue folder is, which is to say very small. My OptionVue folder is 31 megabytes, meaning I could store almost 100 copies of OptionVue inside the free Dropbox storage space. So should be plenty. Then we're going to choose a setup type. Now we're going to choose advanced because it wants to install Dropbox in kind of a goofy directory and some other things. So let's just do advanced. Again, here it wants to put it in users, blah, blah, blah. Okay, no, let's put it somewhere nice and simple. So I'm going to choose where I want to put my Dropbox, and then I'm going to hit change. So I can go and I get a list here where I can look through my computer. I'm going to tree out computer, and I can pick where I want to install it. The thing to know is that wherever you pick, it automatically adds Dropbox onto the end of that. So for example, I'm going to pick just C: on my hard drive, but it's really, once I hit OK, you will see here, it actually puts it into C Dropbox, which is what I want. So I'm going to hit next. You can, part of the advanced setup that we chose was, do we want to sync everything in my Dropbox folder, or do we want to be selective? For most people, this will be the top choice, so we're going to do that. And they want to let you know that they have clients available for all the various smartphone operating systems, but we're going to skip that bad boy. And last is a little intro with a tour. If you'd like to, you can run through that. We'll just skip it for now. And at last, it has a checkbox here. Do you want to open your Dropbox folder? Well, that's fine. We'll go ahead and do that. And as we can see, I already have some things in my Dropbox folder that's starting to sync for me. The Dropbox does change some of the icons. Let me scoot that up so you can see it a little better. And as you can see here in the bottom left, there's a blue circle with 2 arrows. That means it's in the process of synchronizing those files. It is downloading them over the internet, so depending on your bandwidth, it will change. And the other thing it would do is if it's already synced correctly, as these Word documents are, it would be the green circle with the white check. That means we're good to go. Okay, so we're just going to let that do its thing for a moment. But I should mention that for most users, when you first install it, you will have an empty Dropbox, so this folder would just be empty. Okay, I'm going to rename this folder so we can do our thing. Just don't worry about that. Okay, so once it's installed and ready, what we're going to do is we're going to have to navigate to where we have our OptionVue installed. So I'm going to go to Computer, and then C. I'm going to find that OptionVue 7 folder, but I'm going to either right-click on it and choose Copy, or I could left-click one time to select it, and then use the keyboard shortcut Control-C as in Charlie for those who are more keyboard-oriented. Next, I'm going to double-click my Dropbox folder, and then I'm going to paste by either right-clicking and choosing paste, or keyboard people, Control-V as in Victor. Okay, copies that stuff in there. And we do a little dance while we wait. Okay, all set. So now that we've copied that in there, it's going to synchronize. And that's great. Okay, so that's on in its way, in process. Okay, great. So the last step is we're going to create a shortcut on our desktop to this other copy of OptionVue. We want to run this one now. We don't want to run the one that's still installed on our C drive. So I double click that OptView and I can double check up here in this bar. I am, yep, Dropbox OptView 7, okay. And I'm going to scroll down to find the one that says OptView.exe. Now, depending on your Windows settings, you might not see the .exe part. That's a setting whether or not you want to see those extensions. So if you don't see it, we're looking for the one named OptView, but as you can see, there are many OptView files. We want the one that has it's actually the OptionVue logo as its icon. To create that shortcut the easiest way, we're going to right-click and drag. So instead of left-clicking and drag like we would to make a box or what have you, we're going to right-click and drag over the desktop and let go so that we get this secondary menu here. We're going to choose down here, Create Shortcuts here, and that creates the little shortcut for us. But it gives it an ugly name, OptVue.exe shortcut. So to change that, we're going to either right-click and choose a rename, or push the F2 key on your keyboard, and then just type in a more proper name, such as OptionVue from my Dropbox. Now, I say from my Dropbox, but what's really happening is it's a folder on your local drive. These are all stored locally and then synchronized in the background up to the cloud. So there should be no performance issues, and it's not going to use tons of bandwidth or anything like that. So I'm going to run this, and what happens is anytime a file is changed, for example, I'm downloading my daily files, those files and those files only will be synchronized up to the cloud. The first time I copied all that in there, then it had to send all of that up to their servers. But now that it's done, I'm only updating those that change. So for example, when I open and then close a matrix is when the matrix gets saved. And so when I close this matrix, that little apple.stk file that we saw earlier is what gets synchronized and sent up to the cloud. Okay, so we have our OptionVue, and it's now synced with our Dropbox. We're now ready to go to our other computer, for example, a laptop, which I will be remote controlling. Here you should be able to see this is actually my laptop, and I've already brought up Chrome, and I'm already on Dropbox.com. So what we're going to do is now on the secondary computer, we're going to download Dropbox. It's going to take a second. Sorry, my laptop's a little bit slower than my desktop. Do. Okay. So once that's downloaded, we can run that. Yeah, we're really sure. And once again, run through this setup in a very similar manner. The life of an IT guy, we spend a lot of time staring at progress bars. Okay, so, sorry. Okay, we're just waiting for that to start. Give it a sec. Okay. Yep, same thing as before. I still already have one. The important thing here to note is that these do need to be, of course, the same Dropbox account. You don't make a separate account. You use the same one we used before, and again, we can name whatever we like. Always trying to upsell, of course. Now we're good on free. And once again, we're going to do advanced, so we can put that in a nice directory. No, let's put it in the C drive. So I clicked here. Then I'm going to do change. Once again, tree out computer, select local disk C. Now the local disk part, this might be called OS or Windows or HP something something, or I don't know if Dell renames them. And as you saw on my other computer, I had renamed it SSD. You can name that whatever you'd like. So just the important bit is the C colon. That's what lets us know that it's the C drive. And that's where we want. So okay. Yeah, oops, I already have one. Fine. When I was practicing this earlier, C Dropbox. I want to sync all those files, sure. No, I still don't want to do it on my mobile. And I can take the tour again if I so desire. Do we want to open that folder? Sure. Okay, it says link to Dropbox, and it's now begun the process of synchronizing all these files. As you can see, they do have the little blue. Once again, here, let me. I prefer details, obviously, as you see, everything is always set to that. But we'll crank that up so you can see a little better. And then we'll wait for this to sync. Once that's at least mostly synced, we can go into that OptionVue 7 folder that's in our Dropbox, and then scroll down until we find, once again, the OptionVue exe. Again, we're going to right-click and drag, release. And as you can see on my laptop, I have far fewer things installed, so my list is very short here. That's okay. We still just want create shortcuts here. And again, it gives an ugly name, so we're going to F2 and give it a nice little name so we can know what it is we're launching when we double click it. Okay, we're done with this folder. And then now I can run the OptionVue on this computer. We're going to download those daily files. And as you can see down here, Dropbox is notifying me that these files are getting updated on my main computer, even though they're being changed currently on the laptop, which is exactly what we want, of course. If we open a matrix and we're to put in a trade, or even just opening the matrix and changing a setting, once we close that, it will update that stock file and then update it on the Dropbox. So once we're done, we can close this out. There it is, Apple stock updated. Close that guy out. Give it a second, wait for it to sync. If you mouse over the icon in your system tray, that's what this area is called, the system tray or sys tray, it will tell you what it's doing. It's uploading 2 files currently. Okay. It is the one sort of caveat about using Dropbox. You do need to be very careful about synchronization and giving things time, particularly when you're talking about a mobile platform like a laptop, where you might have the tendency to shut it down very quickly. As you can see, even though I have very fast internet access here at home, it did take, what was that, 20, 30 seconds to fully synchronize. So what that means is, for us anyway, what the implications are, is that once we close our Dropbox, we want to make sure we give the computer that much time to upload those before we shut it down or disconnect it from the internet. Otherwise, those files won't get synced, and it will try to sync them later, and then we can run into some problems if we've already tried to change those files on another computer, and then there can be conflicts, and it gets a little crazy. So, close down OptionVue, give it plenty of time to sync. Now we could shut down or disconnect or be on our way. So I'm just going to close my remote control session. And then now I could reopen the OptionVue on my home computer and be now on this synced copy. The same sort of process of waiting goes for the second computer as well. So we were on the laptop, we changed some files, we closed it, we waited for it to sync. Then we need to wait sort of again for it to sync down to the desktop. For all intents and purposes, this should never take more than 1 minute. So it's not a huge thing, but it is something to keep in mind to make sure we're not jumping immediately from one to the other, because then we can run into conflicts. Okay, that is about it for the Dropbox. Are there any questions? Okay. All right, moving on then. The next topic I want to cover is using a remote control application to allow you to sort of quasi-run OptionVue on a tablet. We don't currently have a tablet version, but what you can do with these various applications, such as the one you saw me use to control my laptop, we can use a tablet from a remote location to control our local PCs. 1 second here, I'm going to turn on my webcam and point it at my iPad. Now, I'm using an iPad for this example, but any tablet will work just fine. I apologize if it's shaky. I do not have the steadiest hands in the universe. Okay, hopefully you can see that. This is my iPad. So, the product we're going to be using is Splashtop. And actually, just 1 second here. So the product is Splashtop, and what we're going to do is we're going to go onto the computer that we want to control, and we're going to call that, it's called the server or the host system, and we're going to go over to splashtop.com. Once again, just like with Dropbox, the product I'll be using is Splashtop, but there are thousands of programs that do this kind of remote control. Let's go to my PC, log me in, Splashtop. There are VNC clients. There are even the built-in Windows remote desktop clients and things like this. Any of them work. I just like Splashtop because it's very, very fast. They've really focused on making the experience as much like being on the computer as it can possibly be. So much so that, as you can see in this advertisement, you can even play 3D games that responsive, which is really pretty amazing. If you've ever remote controlled a computer before, you'll know that with most products, it's pretty slow and laggy. We call that. There's a time differential between when you touch something and when it actually occurs in the computer, and it can be a little disorienting. But Splashtop is incredibly quick. Not affiliated with OptionVue in any way or anything, just my personal opinion. And for Splashtop, what we need is we need this streamer. So I'm going to click Get Streamer. I'm going to save that file. And then once it's done downloading, yes, I really want to run it. More progress bars. And finish. Okay, it starts up. It asks us if we want to help them by sending some anonymous data. Well, it's up to you. I'm fine with that. And the last piece is we do have to sign in. Of course, everybody has to create an account these days. So if you don't have one, you can click Create One, and it will change this dialog to create yours. But I already have one, so I'm just going to log in with mine. If I can remember the password. And apparently the answer to that question is no. One more time. All right, okay. This time, where I'm typing is not grayed out. Hopefully that will make the difference. Indeed. Okay, so now it's connected. It says my computer name, which I can edit here. Again, just like with Dropbox, it's really for our purposes. Now, with a remote control program, you do actually use that name a little bit because when you connect in, that's the name you'll see that identifies that computer, so you'll know which one it is you want to connect to. So I'm going to change this one from Fiend, the name I used to have, to, and I name my computers that sometimes, to, home desktop 1, and whatever. Okay, we're all set as far as this goes. So we're going to close that, and it just pops up this box one time to remind you that even though I hit the X, it's actually still running. We can see that because this is their actual logo. Splashtop Streamer is ready, it says in the bottom right in my system tray. Okay, and now that we're done with that, we're going to go back to the webcam. If I can video, there we go. And now we're on our mobile device. Now this is an iPad, but as I said, there are clients for Android, Windows Phone, I think even, everything. So once we've either gone through our App Store or our Google Play or whatever it is, we can download and install the client, which is free, Splashtop. Now, if it was the first time you run it, it would ask for your Splashtop login and password. I've already done it when I was practicing. So it's already provided, it just starts right up. And then I pick the computers. I'm going to pick Alien Fiend. That's the laptop I was controlling earlier. And if you'd like, you can click over here on the right, or tap rather, over here on the right-hand side to set just a few options. So it wants to either, okay, hold on 1 second. I apologize if you can read that, but it does allow you to choose the resolution. So I'm going to use the computer's native display. And then it connects in and syncs up after a moment. Okay, it starts up with some gesture hints. You can turn those off with this checkbox there. I'm going to leave those on. I like them. Okay, and so as you can see, I am now controlling the remote computer as though I were at the desktop. Use my mouse, move around, and I can run double tap here on my option view, and you can run it more or less like you're there. It's not quite perfect, of course, and it is hugely dependent on your internet speed, both at the host location where the computer actually is, and wherever you are, wherever your tablet is. So if you're in a hotel with very spotty bandwidth, or perhaps a Starbucks or something that is very overloaded and not very quick, it will affect the performance. But it's pretty usable, and especially in a pinch, you're out and about and get some kind of hot tip, or perhaps there's a large market move and you're slipping out. Well, you can get in, check your option view, find an adjustment that you need, and make it happen. You could also use this to be able to surf to your broker platform securely without any fears there. All the traffic for all these programs is encrypted. And so you should be all set. Okay. Just going to close that down. And then I'm going to kill the video feed and return us to the desktop sharing. Now, the last little bit I want to go over, since we've been talking about files, syncing, and so on, is the function that we have built into OptionVue to be able to back up your key files. That's what we call it. So I'm going to launch my OptionVue, and then I'm going to go up to the File menu here in the top left, and go to Backup Key Files, about 80% of the way down. Now, we get to choose when we want to do that. We can do it right now, right this second, or we can schedule it to run at a later time today, every day, or once a week on a certain day. The caveat with the timed ones is that OptionVue itself has to be running for that to be able to trigger. So there is no separate sort of scheduling thing that runs or anything like that. It's part of the main OptionVue program, so you would have to remember to leave it up. We can also choose our folders where we want to back this stuff up to, and that is the home and then backup. Now what home means is whatever folder it is that we started in. So for example, this one, because I started in my Dropbox, home will actually mean C Dropbox OptionVue 7. So that's fine. It should always be home, backup, and backup to. Advanced users may want to change that to have a backup into some other location, such as an external drive or a specific directory. You could even put it in your this will be in our Dropbox, so it will be backed up to Dropbox as well. Always a good idea to make multiple backups. OptionVue will automatically, by default anyway, save the last two, so the one you back up and one before that, rotating them appropriately. And it's always a good idea to take at least one of those off-site. Now, because we just installed Dropbox and ran our OptionVue out of the Dropbox, these backups will be on the Dropbox servers. You always want to have one off-site, as we call it, not in the same physical location. And in the unfortunate event, which of course we don't want to happen, but in the unfortunate event of some kind of natural disaster, such as fire, flood, and so on, where the entire computer or all of your computers in your house might be damaged. Okay, I'm going to do one now, just for demonstration. It says, oh, this folder doesn't exist yet. Yeah, okay, that's fine. And it tells us how many files to copy. Now we're going to go look in that folder. Remember, I ran this out of my Dropbox. And so now you can see that I have a backup folder here. Inside of here, you'll see all, not quite all, but most of our directories that we looked at earlier. Data, dist, opscan, records, and a slew of files from our main OptionVue directory. These are, in fact, all the files that would possibly have changed based on your input. So everything you've done to your OptionVue is stored in here. So therefore, once, if you need to, we can restore from here, and you'll be back to exactly how it was. If it was not the first time I'd run it, there would also be a backup to folder in here. I'll just run it again to demonstrate that. Backup key files, run it now. Still hasn't created backup to, so it asked me about that. It copies and then switches them around. And now you'll see I have backup and backup to. No, that's about it. Are there any questions? Let's see. Yes, there will be a recording. I will send the link out. And what about when the computer goes to sleep? Excellent question. For when you're controlling a remote computer, then your main computer does have to be on and awake. Some of the remote control clients will have support for waking up a computer, but it's spotty at best, and I don't recommend using it. The best option is to adjust your power options, which you can do through the power control panel, power options, and make sure your computer is set either high performance or balanced, but you can change the plan settings to see when it's going to automatically put the computer to sleep. Now note, this is different than just turning off the display. Turn off the display is fine, sleep, not fine. You don't want to sleep automatically. So mine is already set that way, but there's an example of what the settings are, either a set of amount of time or just never, which is what I want. Okay, that's all. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good one. And as always, if there are any questions, just give us a call. We're at 847-816-6610. Thanks, and have a good day.